And we stuffed our faces with a lot of cake and chocolates. We definitely are here and to talk about, or to have a conversation about nutrition. And today we'll be discussing home school gardening. What are the benefits for our nutrition with nutritionist and public health specialist Iwalola Akin Jimoh? Welcome to Wake Up Nigeria once again, ma.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're talking about home and school gardening, and to be honest, I don't think I know anything when it comes to this. So can you throw more light to people like myself and others that really want to know about this topic?
Okay, one of the programs that the federal government launched in 2021 was Operation Feed Yourself.
Okay.
And the reason why this project was launched was because a lot of Nigerians were not meeting their needs for protein and micronutrients through their income. And so it was set up in such a way that people can, within the home, plant vegetables, and if they have land, plant fruit trees, and if they have space, rear some animals like chickens, rabbits, and so on. And so Operation Feed Yourself is basically for you to ensure that you can, provide some of these resources, foods to yourself
at home.
Yes, at home. And so home gardening, and people will say, oh, I don't have space. But the bottom line is, if you can have a bucket of water, you can have a bowl, then you can have a home garden. Because you don't really need space to be able to plant. And so if you have, a bucket, and your bucket is a bit broken, you can put soil inside and fill it with some manure, and then get seeds and plant. And so that's what we're, as much as possible, promoting. And if you have access to a bag of cement, you can fill it with soil and even plant yams. And so you really don't need space for you to be able to plant vegetables and even rear animals if you have some space at the back. So that's what we mean by home gardening. And when it comes to the school gardening part, you find out that a lot of schools have piles of potted plants, flowers, and all that. What we're saying is, it's good to have plants, absolutely beautiful. But at the same time, you can plant vegetables, and they look so attractive and beautiful, and your students can benefit from those vegetables. Your teachers can benefit from those vegetables. And even if you have enough space, you can have a vegetable, farm that people can even come to buy. So that's what we're promoting as much as possible. Within the small space that you have, plant something that can benefit your family. Plant something that can even benefit your neighbor if you have enough to sell. And please just also eat it. Eat
it, right? Not just plant it there. Now you said this, it throws a whole lot of lights, because something I know my mom is good at is plant, like in my house, we have scent leaves, bitter leaves, tomatoes, pawpaw, avocados. We have a whole lot. Like, just go to the back of my, people are like, they call my house the Garden of Eden whenever they come there. And it's amazing because right from when I was younger, like, she's always moved around with her pawpaw trees and all of that, planting and replanting bananas, plantains. But what I didn't know is the bucket part. So you said if you have just a bucket, because I grew up in like a large compound. So now you spoke about planting yams in a bucket. What's the feasibility of that?
No,
how does that work?
Okay, I mentioned cement bags.
Cement bags, yes.
I'm not saying buckets. I'm saying, for example, you can actually fill, a cement bag with sand and plant yam seedlings there. Because, a lot of people also think, okay, so how am I going to have enough water? A lot of plants don't need a lot of water to grow. And so you can put in just a small bowl of water into the bucket if you have, vegetables planted inside. And I'm looking at even the small, potted plant that we have. You can actually have water leaf. We call it bure in Yoruba, growing from there. And you see some of these plants are such that, for example, the water leaf that we buy in the market, you don't need a lot of resources to grow it.
They're not deep roots, I guess.
Exactly. They're like shrubs. And there are also so many other things, like the ugu plant too. You don't need space, a lot of space. Of course, you need something that is going to climb on, and you can always have some wood, coming out of the pot. You can always have some, some frames. You can form frames. And so it's it's good to be innovative in your approach to micronutrient consumption. It's good to be because a lot of people feel you need space. No, that's not it.
Okay.
So there's several other things that can be planted. You have your green, can be planted. You have, I know their names in Yoruba. You can have your shoko, planted. You can plant okra.
You can plant
Yeah,
okra,
you can.
okay.
So there's just tons of
Can we
things.
plant
It's just
tomatoes?
Oh yeah, you can.
Tomatoes,
You can
okay.
plant tomatoes. You can plant peppers. You can even plant bell peppers. Those ones that are colorful, yellow, green, and orange. So it's just good for you to know and put your mind on it. That this can be done, and this will help my micronutrient consumption and that of the family.
Okay, it's amazing because I mean a lot of us are actually used to beautifying our homes with normal flowers. How much more in those flowers? Because yes, of course, all these things you're talking about are mostly green, and they also have beautifying purposes as well.
Yeah.
So now, also considering the fact that in the markets now, that the prices have skyrocketed based on everything that's happening around. So if you plant these things, you can actually have them at home. Now let's talk about the importance of consuming micronutrients so that they actually know what are the importance.
Okay, so we've had a lot of conversations around that in the last two episodes.
Yes.
So one of the key things I kept emphasizing was the fact that if you don't have enough micronutrients, your body functions is not optimal.
Okay.
And I did explain that right from the brain function to blood pumping around your body, to you being able to even regulate your blood pressure. For a child to be able to grow properly, you need micronutrients. And I emphasized the fact that for a woman that is pregnant and she goes for antenatal, she's given certain micronutrients. And I did mention iron, I mentioned calcium, I mentioned folic acid, and that it is important for the woman to consume those micronutrients because the foundation for a healthy adulthood is laid right there when you're pregnant. And so if a mother gets enough micronutrients right during pregnancy and has a good birth, and the child, and then also as much as possible ensures that when the child is going to school, you have a diversified meal that you allow your child to take to school.
Yes.
Then you're laying a lot of foundations for good and healthy growth in adulthood.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Very interesting conversation. And thank you for being here. And of course, we'll continue this session next week. Thank you guys. You actually heard that. Plant some fruits in your house today, or plants in your house today. And we're going to a quick break right now. When we come back, so much more coming on Wake Up Nigeria. Stay tuned.